Hi, my name is Christine Makatange. I am a kinesiology major here at Wilfrid Laurier University, and I am currently finishing up my fourth year, my undergraduate.
So my name is Luke. I am a third-year student at Laurier University, and I am in a general program right now, focusing on entrepreneurship.
My name is Harold Hodgins. I am in biochemistry, and this is my 6th year at Laurier.
Hi, my name is Tomas. I'm in computer science and in 4th year. I had no idea there was a maker lab on campus, but through one of the courses I'm taking, SC200, I discovered that we have a great lab on campus that has a lot of cool machines and different software that you could use to build a lot of great things.
So I didn't actually know that there was something that, like a program that you could actually come in and build something. It never really crossed my mind to start.
No, I actually had no idea that we had a lab here at all in the science building until it was actually mentioned to me about a couple of weeks ago.
When I started here, we didn't have a makerspace, but it was about a year ago in the summer, the professor I'm working for emailed me and said that, hey, they're starting this makerspace, you should go talk to them. And so I hustled downstairs and I met Ron Daniels, and it was a good experience.
Using the 3D printer, I made this trammel of Archimedes. That's what it does.
I made a small picture frame, wallet size I believe, as well as with my name on it just at the bottom. And I was able to give it to my parents with my photo in it.
So this is the first prototype we made, including a lid, which has a hinge on it. It goes together like this.
So I started out actually making a prototype watch, and we did this by actually making a DIY heat press, which kind of melts plastic, and we basically made our own molds, which is pretty cool. So we are making the item to support a business case. We're working towards making a wearable technology, which can be kind of tricky. But making the hardware aspect of it, really having the ability to use these tools to start at least testing some ideas through the systems that they have, really, really cool.
There were certain aspects that I thought were a little bit more difficult just because it was the first time I'd ever tried doing any of this stuff or creating my own designs and making it all together, but definitely not as difficult as I had expected it to be.
To some extent, I think making things in the Maker Lab was about as challenging as I thought it would be. There was things that I had to learn, like the AutoCAD software, SolidWorks, which I'd never used before. There were things that I was pleasantly surprised at. For example, the 3D printer worked a lot better than what I'm used to. It was a pleasant experience.
I think it's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, just because the resources that were available and the mentorship behind the resources really came together to make it an experience instead of something just having to jump into it and learning all by myself, which probably would never happen.
Alright, so making the 3D printed object, at first it was a little bit difficult trying to understand the software used to make the model, but once you understand the basics of the software, you can generally make anything you can create in your mind. So once you get through that, it was pretty simple in terms of taking that file and putting it into the 3D printer and letting it do its work.
In terms of the stuff we've been doing in the makerspace, I was able to get up and running in about a day, so a couple hours.
To complete the project, it took maybe an hour and a half to fully understand what the software I was using and get a grasp on the different tools. After that, though, it was pretty simple.
A couple days of training, learning the new technologies that the makerspace actually has.
So I believe that it took about 2 hours to do the entire thing before I started 3D printing.
So one thing I learned throughout making this 3D printed object is that you have to work around the limitations of the machine. So there's a slight variance in what you put into the model, like measurements you put into the model to what actually comes out.
I had learned a whole bunch of different skills that I had no idea that I had even had or would be able to build on at all, just because we use a lot of different, like math tools, certain, measurement tools and softwares that I'd never used in the past at all. So that was definitely something that was new for me. And
one of the things that we've learned through access to the makerspace and making things is not being afraid to fail, trying things. So especially with the 3D printer, you can rapidly prototype. You make something, you realize, oh, we forgot this, so you fix it, right? You make it again, you figure out, oops, this time we forgot that other thing, you fix it. And when you're done, you have, a nice finished product that works.
What I learned about myself was that I am a much more creative person than I thought I was, and that being a part of the Maker Lab really got me to engage in the design process. Now I have the confidence to basically do it myself. The favorite Maker Lab tool is definitely the vacuum press. I think because I had a say in it, and I actually had the experience of building it with the team. So when we actually got to use it and doing the little tweaks and doing the tests and making sure that it was safe, that experience and being able to actually create something from that, that really stuck with me.
My favorite thing would have to be the software we use on the computer. I think it was called SolidWorks. But yeah, it was just pretty cool because you can distort different images to how you want it to look. If you wanted, rounded edges, or if you wanted certain measurements, depth, height, all that sort of thing. It's pretty cool to design it all on your own and have the computer do that all for you.
My favorite Maker Lab tool is the 3D printer. It is the best 3D printer I have seen.
So far, my favorite Maker Lab tool resource would have to be the 3D printer, because the possibilities are really endless for what you can create. If you can think of something and you know how to use the software, you can generally create whatever you want.
I think the most valuable resource for students in the Maker Lab is sort of 50-50 between Ron Daniels, so the expertise and the knowledge that he brings, and his interest in students and his drive and his focus, but also then the tools, so physically being able to make stuff.
So with the CAD that is actually available, it takes a little bit to learn, but at the same time, it is worth it. I think that's the most valuable tool, because that's the foundation of what you build your project on.
I think the most valuable resource in the Maker Lab would probably be the 3D printer again, because a lot of people that want to start businesses, a lot of people that have ideas, they want to create a minimal viable product, and the 3D printer allows them to create this product for a very low cost, and it helps them just get an idea of what they need to create for their final product.
I would have to say that because it was my first time coming into the lab at all, I definitely valued, having someone there to support and guide me throughout all the different equipment that was there in the lab, just because, if I had come in there on my own, I definitely wouldn't have been able to do any of the things that were in there, just because I didn't know how it was used, how to use them, correctly and, most effectively. At all. So I think that was definitely something that was super important and definitely valuable. Another thing was just because I was 3D printing this object or design that I wanted to make, the software that we'd use, I believe it was called SolidWorks, was definitely something that was super valuable in terms of, making the measurements to what you would want them to be, making the designs to look the way you would want them to be, whether they were rounded edges or, how high, how tall, how deep, that sort of thing.
The project's not finished yet.
My favorite thing about this project is the final product, actually having the 3D printed object and being able to show it to people, and just a look on their faces when they see it slide around.
The favorite thing about the project that I was working on and I'm continuously working on is that I get to actually build it. And seeing the end result and having that finished product that started off from a design to an actual solution, I think that whole process, that's what really makes it valuable to me.
Yeah, like drop by, make an appointment, and definitely check it out because it's the coolest thing ever on this campus.